In Monster Hunter Wilds, focus mode is already known to be pretty busted and very, very good. But it's even more crazier once you see this. So let's jump back twice to get some decent distance away from the target dummy. And off of focus mode in regular combat, we're going to do our normal combo with gun lands. So I'm going to shell and wide sweep moving forward. You see, we missed the target right there, right? So now we're back up on the target and we're going to go back twice again to the same exact distance, but this time we're going to do that in focus mode. And you'll see you actually walk a hell of a lot closer and connect with the shot way easier, dude. Focus mode is really good, but man, seeing that, having it on is going to help a lot of you out in combat because you don't want your moves to be whiffing. You want to be connecting as much hits as you can on the enemies and landing your combos down. A few weeks ago, we made our best settings guide for Monster Hunter in the beta, which those tips, by the way, are still extremely useful. I'll be linking it down below, but there's a couple of new details that I would like to correct that we talked about in that video in particular. Right now, I'm currently playing on the PlayStation 5 Pro. I'm not going to go back through every single setting that we already talked about. You guys can go ahead and check that video out. Again, it's linked down below. The main thing I want to talk about is something that I was actually wrong about. In the comments of that video, a lot of you guys were talking about the tip where I said to switch the dash controls from using both L3 and R1 to only use L3. And while I did play with that for a significant amount of time, and many of you guys in the comments said that, hey, R1 has always been a legacy thing, we actually prefer it. I totally agree. Play however it is that you feel more comfortable with. But the reason why I originally said to remove R1 off of that was because while I was in focus mode and I would be pressing R1 to sprint, I would just continuously be going into focus strike, which you don't want to be doing in combat, and it got me killed a lot in the beta. I was a very new player early on. What you actually have to do is get out of focus mode, and then you could press R1 to sprint away. Get out of dodge, evade, improve your defense. So that actually was the case. Now, as you can see, I have both settings on. It's set to default, and I still either sprint with R1 or L3. But now it's important to note that that's the reason why that was happening, and I fully understand it now. Even to this day, I find myself pressing square to sheath my weapon and then press L3 to sprint away or hold down R1. But the main thing is to know that you need to not always stay in focus mode when the monsters are doing something crazy. You can always sheath your weapon and run away. And I can't not talk about it, guys. Monster Hunter Wilds is out, yes, but you can save a lot of money if you get it on Instant Gaming right now. Pinned in the comments down below. They have Monster Hunter Wilds right now for $57 for the base edition, and the premium deluxe edition, you're saving $21 right now if you get it over here. And this will give you a code that you can use in Steam. And if you're on PlayStation and you haven't made the jump yet or pulled the trigger to buy the game, you could get any of our PlayStation Network gift cards for a significant discount, between $5 to $6 off on every single one. It's kind of crazy. $75, you're paying $68. $100, you're paying $96. You get the idea. It's very, very good for savings, man. Now, this tip might only specifically apply to gunlands here, but actually, when you're in focus mode and you backdash, you get one quick leap, and then the rest are kind of like slow. There's like the second one is a little slower. There's actually a way to speed that up. If you wait half a second in between back jumps, you'll actually go a lot further, and this has helped me a lot in my playthrough. Get away from big devastating attacks and out of dodge rather than sheathing and trying to run away. Now, obviously, if the enemy is throwing out an attack that's going to be in a straight line, you don't want to do that. You want to go to the right and sheath and run away. But that is absolutely another perk with focus mode, because if you try to do this out of focus mode, you'll actually face that direction when you do it. But like, focus mode actually puts you in a strafe position, and it keeps you with your front facing forward and lets you use your abilities in that way. The main thing is obviously using focus mode to keep your attacks in front of you and directing them on the monster. Sometimes you'll do some combos where you'll end up going the opposite direction, and you could actually swing it back over to the monster by using focus mode. I got a lot of experience playing Gunlance recently in Monster Hunter Wilds, and it's probably my most advanced weapon to date. And I do plan to make a guide on that, but I highly recommend you guys subscribe to and check out Cow Slayer. They are actually releasing a Gunlance guide tonight, and they are super good with it. I learned a lot just watching their videos. They have some really informative stuff. But I'm also going to be working on the charge blade, the dual blades, long sword, and switch axe. Also, I don't think this was actually in the beta. I don't recall seeing this as an option, but you could actually differentiate between melee weapons and range weapons, how you want to activate focus mode. By default, for melee weapons, it's hold down L2 in order to activate it. It is way better if you switch it to toggle. This way you don't have to hold down L2. It'll help movement and combat, and overall getting off your combos a lot easier, managing focus mode in that way. But for the range weapons, I absolutely agree that it should be on L2, hold L2 to activate. And that specifically is like if you're using the bow, for example. All right, let me switch to a bow here. It just feels more natural that when you're in combat, you hold down L2 in order to aim. rather than pressing it to toggle. It'll help with a lot of defensive options as well. You're going to want to also make sure you raise the camera speed when you're in focus mode. That's this L2 icon right here for horizontal and vertical. I feel comfortable at 15. That might be a little too high for some people. Maybe it's a little too slow. Adjust it accordingly to how comfortable you feel with it. Monster sighting camera, I absolutely turned this off. It is so frustrating when you're roaming around or if you're running in the middle of a quest and the monster sighting camera just decides to lock onto the beast when you just want to run up in there, get into battle, get your materials, and dip. Now, when it comes to focus mode, there's actually some people that I've been talking with, and they said that having aim assist on actually messes up their aim in focus mode, where it will shoot the right stick all the way up and make them look at the air. I thought it was a controller issue, but some people said disabling aim assist seemed to help this for them. So if you're experiencing that issue yourself, try disabling it and see how that works out. Monster Hunter Wilds has officially launched, and we actually have a guide up on the channel to help you guys learn how to craft in the middle of the battle. I think it's extremely important you guys check that out. Learning to craft in the middle of the battle will help speed up a lot of fights for you guys and benefit the team greatly. The menu is pretty tricky to navigate, but it's a lot easier once you check out that video and get a grasp on how things function in this game. Also, we made a video talking about this earlier, but notifications are a little wonky. The devs officially announced this morning that yes, there is no gathering hub in Monster Hunter Wilds currently, because in title update number 1, they are going to be dropping an actual hub for us to meet, communicate, have meals together, and more, with other hunters being added as well when that update drops. And when is that update dropping? They said it's going to be happening in April, so we don't have to wait too long. It's literally a month from now when we can expect to see this. But not only that, we're also going to be getting more monsters on top of that. They say to prepare your gear and resolve hunters. Update 1 is going to bring a monster of formidable strength at a level above tempered, so it's going to be much more difficult. And another challenging monster will also await for you. This is pretty exciting to see that content is rolling out for this game. I know that Monster Hunter within its series has constantly always been a series that gets free updates every couple of months or so, and then eventually expansions and stuff. And they already talked about how Mizutsune is going to be the first like free spring update. So I wonder if Mizutsune, in addition to these 2 other monsters, will be added to the game, like technically 3 with title update 1. That's kind of interesting to think about. Overall, I think that the news of the Gathering Hub is really exciting, because even though I didn't play in Monster Hunter World, a lot of veterans were talking about how that was actually a really cool detail where we could all meet up and hang out in the Gathering Hub. It felt like an actual like team in that way. So taking that away from Wilds, I understood at first, because I'm like, okay, technically the whole entire world, right, is the hub, because we could see players roaming around and doing things in the background and stuff, and also interact with them in that way. Now hearing this, it actually makes it feel like an actual expedition where, yes, we did arrive in Forbidden Lands and we continuously built upon that, and now we have a Gathering Hub a month later. So good news overall. I want to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. We got a lot of Monster Hunter guides on the way, and you don't want to miss any of that, so hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay in the loop. We'll be back streaming more Monster Hunter videos, going through the story, and then eventually get into Endgame where we can finally play together. You don't want to miss out. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.